a loss that you can learn from, so they've looked at things that have gone wrong in the wins. Offensively, how do you kind of keep your guys pushing on the gas instead of, faltering it with no big loss to kind of...
They've been a good group that way, as far as improving and self-identifying what to improve on. The thing is, as far as the teams I've had, they've probably listened better than any other team, so you're not constantly, you reinforce to a point, but you're not constantly reinforcing the same thing. These guys, work hard at what you ask them to do and then give you something else to coach after that. And so, I think that's allowed us to progress at a bigger pace.
Would you say that this is the best offensive line group that you've had since you've been here?
Yeah, maybe. As far as playing together, on an individual level, that's difficult to say. But as far as playing together, I think they're more synchronized than any other group that we've had.
Does that give you more confidence going into a game like this? I know you mentioned.
Well, I think that's helpful, but then I also think that Gardner does a really good job of not avoiding negative plays. And so I think it does kind of go hand in hand.
What do you remember from that phone call with Gardner this summer? You've talked about, obviously, to a lot of players on the phone before. Anything stand out with him and his interest?
Yeah, he was excited. He's enthusiastic, weighing his options. He did quickly agree to come visit here, and then pretty quickly after that, because it all happened very quick, agreed to come here. And then, but yeah, it was a pretty quick phone call, and he was familiar with our offense. More familiar than I thought he'd be and than I expected, but he'd run a version of it in high school. And then he'd read my book, so he knew quite a bit about my background and my philosophy, which that surprised me as well. And then, from there, we came up here, we talked. I immediately recognized that he's a really intelligent guy and very passionate about football, and thought he'd be a really good fit here. And then the $64 question, the biggest one was how quick could he get on his feet and integrate himself with our team and be a guy that had enough impact that people would follow him. And it turned out that was really quick, even quicker than I expected. And and then he's gone on from there. So.
Was there a time in that early process that you kind of clicked and thought, man, this kid can really be special here right now? I guess you really never really know until you got there and start playing.
His intensity and passion for the game was apparent right away. In camp, the deeper we got in camp, the quicker he sorted and picked things up. And then physically, I thought they were very comparable. Him and the other guys he's competing against, I thought they were very comparable. But then the pace that he was progressing, I just felt like if he got more reps, he'd continue to progress at a real rapid pace, which he has. And that's a little tough to sort, exactly where one starts and the other ends, because our receivers who are real young, were getting better very quickly too. And so then, as we would go out there and practice, you'd see them do something that they couldn't do the day before, or all of a sudden they're more consistent, something they hadn't been consistent at. And then, two things there, coaching-wise, to consistently put them in the best position to feature their talents, and then his to recognize it and respond to it from his position,
You mentioned that he had read your book. Do you think that was something recent that he had done, or something that he'd done a while before?
You'd have to ask him. I don't think it wasn't the day before. I think it was, I think he's kind of a football junkie guy, and he had, you'd have to ask. That's a good question. I'm kind of curious myself. I don't think, I think it was prior to, him transferring from ECU, you know.
Middle school is what he said.
You'd have to do the math. When did that sucker come out? 2009? Yeah, maybe be in middle school. That'd be good. I mean, you know, as a book report, you know, all kids that have book reports ought to carry a beat-up copy of Swing Your Sword and write a good report on it. You know, that's what I think. I think it should be taught in schools all across America.
What do you think that says about him, that he was reading that book so at such a young age?
Yeah, I used to do that too. I read a biography on Bart Starr that I got off of the. They used to have a deal where you'd get like a little piece of paper on newspaper print. There'd be all these books you could order. So you know, I'd do all my chores and you know, make money or mowing lawns or whatever, and then I'd check the boxes of what I thought I could afford from one week to the next, and I'd buy them. And I got, let's see, I got a great book on Bart Starr, which I read that 3 times. I got, and there's a picture of Bart Starr hanging over my bed. I'd sent him a letter, and I'm assuming he signed it. And then I got, let's see, I got the NFL's Greatest Games, which included ones with Johnny Unitas, and like the one with Unitas and the Giants. And then I had one on Dick Butkus. I had one, several NFL's Greatest Games. I had Lombardi, and then, well, and this was really kind of, and I think still is, required reading. You know, the holy grail of football books is Instant Replay by Jerry Kramer, which he had a journal which he you know, wrote all about playing for Lombardi in one of their Super Bowl seasons, and really every step of the way, you know, his mentality inside the locker room, all the characters, how Lombardi handled things, and it's a huge book, so it's quite a task for, and I think I was in grade, I might have been in grade school, I was either in grade school or early junior high, and well, to this day, I think Instant Replay is the best football book there is, and yeah, so I mean, I did the same thing.
Earlier today, Chris Peterson told the story about the Pac-12 coaches meeting when you arrived about a half hour late and showed up with In-N-Out. Do you recall that day? And,
yeah, I was I was flying from Florida. My my plane got delayed, and I hate airports and planes anyway. I'm not afraid of planes, but you know, just the whole airport process is miserable. And then I was starving, and then they said, well, we have a meeting, and I hadn't eaten anything all day, and you know, if I didn't get something to eat, I wasn't going to be any fun to anybody, and so I figured that it was in my best interest and the other people that I'd be around and associate with, that I got something to eat. And it wasn't entirely unlike Jeff Spicoli in Fast Times on Ridgemont High when he walked in with the pizza, and you know, and they said, this is our, or this is, you know, Mr. Hand says, what do you think you're doing on my time? Well, everybody was there, so I felt like it was our time, and so we might as well enjoy some In-N-Out burgers as long as we were all there and getting the edification of the meeting. And yeah, I had to have me some In-N-Out burgers. And then, well, then when I got to the hotel, I actually wouldn't have been as late, except I'm running around that damn hotel, and they got stuff set up everywhere. And Yeah, you'd have to be there to see it. It's in that Kodak Live area, you know, so you go to the roof and, where there's rooms everywhere, so I start pulling on doors. Finally, the janitor tells me where they're at, so, yeah, I went in and I was hoping to eat it before I got there, but then, turned out the way it did, so I figured, no time like the present, you know.
What'd you order?
I always get, 2 hamburgers without cheese. And I like the single patty. I don't like a pile of patties slipping around, so I get 2 of them. I get rid of the special sauce and have ketchup instead. And then, fries and I had a Coke that day. I generally don't, drink soft drinks, but, you know, desperate times require desperate measures, and so, sugar and caffeine I felt like were important at that point. And, so anyway, great time was had by all, had a very enjoyable meeting, and got a meal in besides. And then, and best of all, got to see my friend Chris Peterson, and he seemed to be in good spirits as well, so, and he looked well fed when I saw him too.
What do you think of the people that say In-N-Out's a little overrated?
Well, I think that's incorrect. I mean, well, obviously, it's incorrect. I mean, overrated is if nobody shows an interest. I mean, you know, there's always a line at In-N-Out. They go fast, but, there's always a line there, you know, and I'm not even a huge burger guy, but it, you know, In-N-Out sort of transcends that, I think. Oh, and then the T-shirts last forever. Those T-shirts will survive a nuclear war. And, you know, so I got those, and, you know, if you're doing chores, working around the house, or need a nice thick T-shirt to wear under your gear, In-N-Out T-shirts are good ones.
Coach, a lot of people have noticed how loose this team is and how much fun they seem to have together. Have you had more fun this year?
Yeah, and part of it is because we've got a real responsive group. I mean, you can move forward, you can discover a lot of stuff real quickly, just because everybody's real passionate and kind of embracing things and embracing, you know, the most important thing of all, which is steady improvement.
Each of the players today mentioned that there's been a lot more focus just internally as opposed to fixing something that other teams are doing and finding that. Do you think that's true, and how do you see that translate on the field?
What's the last part? I guess I think it's true. What's the last part?
How do you see that translating onto the field?
Well, you know, if you want to improve the team, improve yourself, you know, and the way to do that is to find something to get better at every day. And I think that collectively, we've done a certain amount of that. I mean, right down even to our scout teams, where I think our scout teams do a really good job duplicating the looks we need and bringing effort out there on the field that helps prepare us. And I think our team as a whole is into it, and they're kind of feeding off the energy of each other.
Rivalries kind of bring out trash talk too, and kind of interesting stories. Have you had any interesting encounters with Husky fans, or either online or in person, or? Nah,
not really. You know, sometimes they'll say some nasty, petty stuff. But you know, the thing about it is you need the other guy. I mean, if you don't have the other guy, you know, it's like everybody will say, well, we hate this team, we hate that team. Well, if you vaporize that team, they'll immediately be replaced within a couple weeks by some other team, you know, and so, for Coug fans, if all of a sudden you made the Huskies somehow disappear, they'd immediately be replaced by one of the Oregons, you know, I mean, because you're always going to have that team, and so you have to have the other guy, and that's what elevates the whole thing and makes it exciting. I mean, yeah, the other guys are now the necessary element to the whole exercise.
Where does this rivalry rank in terms of the intensity compared to some others that you've been a part of?
It's up there for sure. I mean, you know, they all have their unique qualities to it, but this one, you know, definitely is, you know, people are excited about it year round, you know, and look forward to it, and I don't know how many years it's been going on, but it's been going on a long time. And then the other thing I think that is sort of exciting is, you know, in the history of it, the weather conditions have always been, you know, different, and so then that, you know, that even brings another element and nuance to things, really. And then, of course, a lot of good teams, a lot of good players that have moved on, and anytime you have deals like that, then the history of where everybody ended up becomes kind of exciting, too.
The last few years, this game has decided the Pac-12 North. I mean, does that obviously make this a bigger deal because you've been the two best teams on?
Well, they're all big deals, you know, they're all big deals. Shoot, it wouldn't have decided anything if both teams had won a bunch of games in the process, you know. I mean, this game's only a big game because a whole lot of other big games prior to this, you know, so, yeah.
Earlier this week, Chris Peterson said that he thinks you're great for college football. What is your relationship with him, and how has it kind of grown?
We're pretty good friends. You know, knew him first when he was at Boise. Knew a lot of people in common. We knew a lot of people in common, and didn't know each other well. And then he's just a great guy. You know, I mean, he's a good guy. He's the guy that he's the guy that the teachers probably always liked, and you know, and got to school early, got his homework done, and you know, your parents would occasionally say, "Why can't you be more like the Peterson boy?" And then you know, so then it's probably good to compare notes, but no, he's a fantastic guy. I can see why my parents thought I should be more like him, you know, so at this point it probably won't happen, but you know, I can see their point of view a little bit.
What do you think the teachers would say about you in that relationship?
Yeah, it's a love-hate thing, you know. It was I got good grades, so they didn't have that to beat me over the head with. I got good grades, but you know, some of them really liked it. Some of them kind of wish I wasn't there, you know.
Let's go to the phone line. Any questions on the phone line for Coach Leach?
Coach, Larry Stone from the Seattle Times here. Coach Peterson was talking about, with admiration, about how much your team has overcome this year. Does that, considering that and the low expectations, is this one of the more satisfying years for you as a coach?
I haven't had really a chance to think about any of that, you know. I mean, because it's all kind of a blur, and it's one challenging team to the next. And of course, Washington's a very challenging team, and Washington from the beginning has pretty much been expected to win this conference. So there's quite a lot of foreshadowing that they're a good team, you know, going into the season, and which I expected them to be a good team, and of course they are. And then, yeah, I don't know. You know, you know, I thought we'd be good anyway. You know, the football people are fairly irrational to begin with. You know, because you get yourself, you know, worked in and convinced, and you know, and are constantly shooting for the stars, and so yeah, maybe after the season, maybe, or maybe when I retire, I'll think about it more. But yeah, no, we got they're enough of a handful that there's not a lot of memory lane stuff. If they were a horrible team, maybe.
Other questions on the phone line for Coach? Okay, back in the room.
Mike, you got, go ahead.
compare and contrast Minshew and Falk for us? Similarities, differences, maybe what gives the other an advantage going into this game?
Well, Gardner's got better feet, and I think has a good sense of the pocket. You know, both of them, I think, did a good job commanding the unit and managing the offense. I think that's the biggest thing they have in common, and I think that the rest of the team drew from them. You know, Falk, at least on the front end, I knew a great deal more about because he'd been around a long time, and of course is the all-time leading passer in the history of the Pac-12, and which is like the hardest conference to do that in, you know, other than a stray guy here or there. I mean, you know, this conference has had more passers than probably any two of them combined. And then, you know, but Gardner's got kind of a take charge leadership quality. In other words, he's in the middle of it, you know, where, you know, Falk would sit back and instruct, and you know, Gardner's right in the middle of it, and, you know, leads kind of from the front, you know, and, but yeah, they all have great quality. The most important thing is for a quarterback, you gotta be an authentic guy, so that the team can draw from it and things like that.
Mike, you got better production out of the X position. Was that kind of a key? Was that something you were shooting for there?
Well, we were shooting to get more depth there. So Tay wasn't doing it kind of on his own, and I think that helped. I think one, Tay's fresher, and two, positions more competitive, so they both have to up their game. And then third, I think that Calvin Jackson's a real good player as well.
What's going on with your field goal PAT team?
I don't know, I'm trying to get better at it, you know. Yeah, so we just have to improve. You know, we got some new faces in there, but we need to iron it out better than it is, I think, so.
I know you talked about Gardner earlier, but I mean, today it came out that he's one of the finalists for the Davy O'Brien. You're on record saying he's the best quarterback in the country. How nice is it to see that everyone else is kind of catching up to you?
I think it's good. You know, we got a lot of late games, but I think, you know, his production and performance speaks for itself, and you know, and as a team, we all hope it gets the credit it deserves, you know.
Do you think the Huskies defense is the best defense you guys have seen this season?
Difficult to say. We've seen some good defenses. There's some really good defense in this conference. I would say three come to mind. They're one of them. Huskies, Utah, and Cal, I think, you know, good defenses. And then, of course, ours is a good defense. We see it every day.
Do you think this is going to be kind of a juggernaut matchup between their offense and their defense? Because, I mean, they're only allowing 16.6 points. You guys are scoring over 40 per game. So that's
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, they've got a good offense too, and some weapons and some experience there. You know, they got some experience there on their offense. So we'll see. You know, it's hard to make judgments on that. You know, it's you've got to go out there and slug it out, you know.
Last chance on the phone line for Coach. Any questions on the phone line? Okay, back in the room. Go ahead, Femi.
All right, sorry we have to go down this path, but this week's fan question of the week is, which is worse, somebody who never brushes their teeth or someone who never showers?
Yeah. Do they swim a lot? Do the people swim a lot? I mean, do they, are they out in the rain? Are they,
Just regular person.
What's the diet of the people that don't brush their teeth? Do they eat a lot of about fruit, vegetables?
I don't have that much info, but, maybe,
Okay, I think what's worse would be if a person has a good diet, it would be worse if you don't shower. To be perfectly honest, you know, if I'm in Florida, I don't shower much. And, but I'm in the ocean a lot, maybe in the pool, and then I just spray off with the hose. Go out on the deck, you know, go in the little corner, neighbors hopefully can't see, spray off there on the deck, all done, put your stuff on, off you go. And I haven't had any complaints. You know, brushing your teeth. You know, you can work the barnacles off if you have a pretty good diet, and the other thing is your breath doesn't smell bad if you have a good diet, but you don't want to lose your teeth. That's a tough one.
in those instances, I'm sure we've all been around people who, how do you go about telling somebody that, like, hey, you're smelling a little not so great right now?
Oh, you can imagine what I say. You know, what the hell's wrong with your breath? I mean, hey, what have you been eating? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm a direct person. There's probably people I wouldn't be as quick to tell I'd let ride if I didn't see them very much.
Who's on that list?
I don't know, like people I don't see often. It's like, oh, you know, just let it go. But to be honest, I'm not that sensitive. Like, you go to Europe and stuff, there's a certain amount of that. And, I'm really not that sensitive to it, to tell you the truth.
So if it were you, you would rather know that, hey, I'm not smelling the best right now?
Well, I could do that out of just common courtesy, but yeah, I'd like to know. But that'd be out of courteousness. But you know, I have no problem. Like you go to Europe and you got the backpacking crowd, and plus they bathe less over there anyway, and that didn't bother me. I think they're on a pretty good routine, really, you know, and you know, wear the same shirt a couple days in a row. You know, why not? I mean, who wants to pack a bunch of stuff, right?
As long as it's an in-and-out shirt?
Well, those work good because they're all cotton. They're all cotton. You know, those cellophane feeling shirts, those things, they only have, you know, they have a shelf life of about 8 hours, you know.
You guys good? Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.